So, shall I start? So this month, we were looking at relationships and we thought we'd look at gender. There's a whole lot that we often hear in the press from the LGBTQ plus community about various issues that they face and the things that are going on in their world. And one of our friends and somebody that works closely with us with the diploma and the clinical hypnotherapy training is Gloria Hammett. And I always say she's a recovering psychotherapist. So Gloria has spent a lot of time over the years working with people with transgender issues. And she worked quite closely with Dr. Wendy Peters, who is actually trans, as a trans woman. And so I got together with Gloria and Wendy to basically ask them how they would like us as NLP coaches, as hypnotherapists, to help the community. What can we do when we have a client from that community, specifically someone with trans and with gender issues? What can we do to help them? And we had some very interesting responses. I hadn't expected Dr. Wendy to explain about her transition. And I thought that was interesting for everybody, because I think a lot of time you just don't understand what somebody goes through when they're stuck and they really don't feel like they're in the right body. So if I go to the first question, which is, here we go. Thank you, Tina, Gloria, and Dr. Wendy Peters for such an informative discussion this month. The conversation covered a broad range of issues, so I'm hoping to narrow it down. If approached by the LGBTQ community, what issues are likely to be presented and what do we have in our toolkit to help? Now, one of the things I said to Dr. Wendy right at the beginning is, I have had people ask me, how can we help people that are confused with their gender? And in my head, I just I still think that whatever we do that works with human beings, works with human beings. And we have a lovely process, the NLP process of change. And we don't really need content. We're just looking at the strategy, aren't we? We're looking at what they're doing in their head that isn't working and how we can give them the resources so that it does work. So I think sometimes we just get tied up that this is a certain kind of person where the problems are faced just by them. But not necessarily, because I think everybody needs confidence and self-esteem, as Dr. Wendy said, that's what they need, and possibly how to deal with what's happening with the way they're being treated. We work with all sorts of people that have issues about being bullied or being threatened, and we have strategies for helping them. And it's no different if they're transitioning. Now, she did say that she got very impatient when she was transitioning. And I know that she was able to do this quite quickly compared to other people. And she was also able to pay for her surgery. So maybe there's something connected with that as well. Do you want anything to add, Steve? Can you hear my neighbour's children screaming?
I can hear somebody screaming. I'm assuming it's...
I'm going to go... While you speak, I'm going to go and close the door, because the kids next door are playing in the garden, and I thought it
was my internal dialogue for a moment there. Yeah.
No, it's children.
So while Tina is dealing with the screaming children next door, first of all, it's a fascinating conversation, and I really appreciate Gloria and Tina and Dr. Wendy Peters putting that together. It's an area where I've not actually worked with anybody from the LGBTQ plus community. That's just not happened, which is actually quite a rare thing. It made me consider that. Because I always say there isn't a situation in which I've not worked with somebody, but that's not true. This is an area where I've not worked with someone. So The only thing I've got to add is what occurred to me is that it seemed to me so important when working with, and I think it's important with anyone, working with anyone, is not to impose our map upon them.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. To be very clean and make sure that our views, our opinions, our judgments, our biases, our beliefs don't get in the way of allowing somebody to explore their own map. I know I think I've been borderline guilty of it on some occasions where, and maybe my ego is getting in the way with this when I say borderline guilty of it. So it might have happened more than once, where I've been working with someone and almost like gone, I know what this person needs to do. Yeah. And then caught myself before I kind of lead the witness, Your Honor, and nudge them in a direction. Yeah. And I think any situation, and this one in particular, when people are making choices, making decisions, they're being influenced by all sorts of people, and they're going through a long process, and they're navigating what must be a difficult terrain. As a coach, we're there to help them to navigate sometimes, and not to do the navigation for them, not to say, this is what you should do. So that's anything. And there's just one other thing as well. I think you should, from an NLP perspective, also really listen out to the modal operators when you're working with someone.
Definitely.
Yeah. To see if, because they'll give you clues as to, whether it's coming from them as well as whether they're being influenced, because it's very difficult to not be influenced by other people's maps. And that includes their friends, that includes their associates, that includes their family. So that's the only thing I'd like to add to that.
And I think that could be an issue with the very young people, because I know that one of my grandsons has a friend, and when COVID kicked off in March, their friend, who is biologically female, was female. And then when their friend came back to school, when school reopened in the autumn, after all the shutdowns in COVID, now his friend is a trans male. Now I'm not sure how I feel about that, because his friend is only 14. But that said, he is convinced that he should be a boy, and I have had a few discussions with his mum, because I've found that there are a lot of children now that are trans. I mean, both of my grandsons have friends that are trans. And one of them, I even said in the interview, one of them came out to me, and we were at a family dinner, and my husband was there, both my grandson's friend, whose name was Josh, and suddenly, while mid-mouthful of pizza, we're in Pizza Express, Josh said, I'm a girl and I want to be called Jessica. And as Steve said, you've got to stop your map. And I very naughtily went to that place in the life of Brian, where Eric Idle said, I want to be, and I can't remember the name that Eric Idle said, Eric Idle wanted to be a woman. And I sort of stopped, because Josh did play tricks, and he did have a warped sense of humor. And I looked at him and I just thought, no, he's serious. So I just said, okay, do you want another Coke, or are you done? Because he just made a statement. So I just accepted his statement. And I did end up talking to Josh's mum, who did have great difficulty in accepting. But Josh is now Jessica, and is now going, Jessica is now 18 and is going through all sorts of treatment. And there seemed to be a lot. So sometimes I wonder, is that because they didn't have a chance to come out before? Or, I'm going to be devil's advocate now, Steve, part of me does think that some of them will have body dysmorphia. And I have been told by Gloria that that is the case. Some of them, where they go through the trans issue and they start along that line to change and become trans male or trans female, there is a percentage of them that at some point realize that actually, no, that's wrong, and it is body dysmorphia. So I'm not quite sure how you coach somebody through that. Personally, when I've worked with someone, I've done everything. I've gone through well-formed outcomes to check if it's ecologically sound, you know, is it true to them? And I've had them go in, and we've even done like IMRs. We've even done unconscious signals with the brain. And they have come out that it is true to them. And the people I've worked with who have transitioned are still transitioned now and are very happy with the changes they've made. So I think it's just going with the process, the NLP process of change. And instead of thinking, this is someone that is transitioning or is part of the LGBTQ plus community, think, this is a person. How can I be of service? How can I help them?
As you're talking, it made me think about a lot of clients come in telling us what they want. And then when we sit with them and we meta model and we do the diagnostic, we then uncover what it is they need.
Yeah.
And that's where I think it can be tricky, because, you know, when we know what someone needs, that could be imposing our map on them in conflict to what they want.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think just be aware that, you know, you're not imposing your map and delivering. From my perspective, I always deliver what a client wants, unless I really feel it's going to be harmful to them. And then we'll have that conversation. And that will just be an ecology check. It won't be, you know, Steve Crabb's judgment as to, are they doing the right or wrong thing? It will be an exploration of, let's just explore that, if they're open to that.
Yeah, because some of them may come talk to you because they are confused. I have spoken to one. I've only ever had one person that Gloria couldn't see, and she referred this person to me, and they were confused. And
well, then that's fine, isn't it? You know, someone's going, I'm confused. Let's explore that.
So let's explore the confusion. So we explored what was going on in their head, what they were thinking. And then we went down well-formed outcomes. Was it good for them? And because the thing is, with the trans community, if they're going to be trans, I mean, this particular person, it was right for them and they are now trans male. But at the session, the first time I spoke to him, it wasn't right because they were hurting their parents. So I think there's a lot of conflict with these people as well. And if you stick with the process and do all the things we've talked about, it's no different to coaching anybody else. Other people have conflict and we just coach them through it.
We coach them to get clarity, don't we? Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, it's fascinating area.
So I knew that was going to be a meaty subject.